Hey guys, how can we trust in God more? Many of us, including myself, have had questions about God, difficulties about how does He manage the world, why does He allow this, not allow that, how can I trust Him more in my own life? Well, and that's one of the reasons why I do my series on objections to the Bible. I try to have answers for things, but sometimes you maybe don't have an answer, and today I want to see that's not necessarily what we need. In Romans 9 verse 19, Paul was dealing with the idea that people would talk back to God. And on this one he says, one of you will say to me, then why does God still blame us? For who is able to resist his will? The whole idea was that God would pick people for different tasks. And they were like, well, why would God blame us then? It's not our fault, it's his fault. But then he goes on to describe the good place to get to in terms of trusting God. He talks through it all and says, look, here's the good outcome. Shall the clay talk back to the potter? Shall the person who's been created talk back to the creator? In other words, trust that he's doing right. Trust that he's got it all worked out. Trust that he's doing it for the right reasons. And I realize this is like the perfect outcome, trusting in the sovereignty of God, but it's not an easy outcome. How can we trust God in ways like that? It's the perfect thing to be doing, but it's not easy to do it. And I thought, you know what helps me? Spurgeon said, one of the ways to get rid of all the little griefs that we have is have a big grief. And I thought it's the same with trust. One of the ways in order to trust someone in all the small areas of life is to know that you can trust them in the big area of life. And Paul addressed it in Romans 8. Just before this, he says, Romans 8:31, what then shall we say in response to all these things? He said, if God is for us, who can be against us? He did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all. How will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? In other words, it's because of what God's already done for us, for the world, that enables us to trust in him in regards to our jobs, our relationships, our health, finances, things going wrong. If he's dealt with our ultimate need, and it is our ultimate need, our salvation, our eternal life, if he's already done that, then you can trust him for everything else. And it's also helpful if you have objections about God in terms of, but what about LGBT issues? What about women's roles? What about all these things that put you off Christianity? Well, look, if he sent his son to die for us and he committed his life for our sakes and became sin for us, what more would he not do for us? This will help us to put our trust in the sovereignty of